Hello, this is JJ Humphrey. I am back on Elephant in the Room, where we're going to talk about what nobody else really wants to talk about. And today we're talking about politics. I'm joined with my good friend Bobby Cleveland as usual, but we have a special, very special guest today. Very honored to have Jim Shaw, Representative Jim Shaw, who pulled off practically a miracle. I mean, really, it was quite. It really. I mean, people do not realize how big this is. I don't even know that you realize, Jim, how big it was. The win that you pulled. So you could just start by just describing what counties you're over, and tell us a little bit about your race and how it was such an upset. How you upset one of the top people, one of the highest ranked Republicans in the House, and how you were able, kind of the money different and all that.
You bet. No, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate being able to come on with you guys this afternoon. So I cover House District 32. So I've got all of Lincoln County, got a little bit of Logan County, and then I've got the city of Perkins up in Payne County. And my wife and kids and I live on the west side of Chandler on some property that we've got out here, and absolutely love being out here. But you're right. I mean, I got into the race. I just had a memory that come up on my feed or whatever, that I guess it was yesterday, marked a year ago, that I actually went to the Capitol to file to get into the race. And the incumbent at the time was Kevin Wallace, who had been and was the appropriations and budget chair for the House for a long time. And going into that race, I was, you could say I was ignorant to the process. I mean, I've been aware and involved in politics for a long time, but I've never ran for office or anything like that. Wasn't even on my radar to jump into the race. We had some pretty hyper local issues, and I'm sure we'll get into some of the policy items here in a little bit, but I had some issues here locally that really kind of prompted me to get into the race, because I knew on a few of those issues that I was on the other side of the fence compared to the incumbent, to Wallace at the time. So, getting into this race, afterwards, and maybe a little bit into it, I was informed that, I mean, statistically speaking, I probably should have had a less than 5% chance of winning that race. And, the people out here were absolutely ready for a change. You're right on the money side of it. It turned into what was affirmed a few times over as the most expensive state house race in history. I was outspent at least 3 to 4 to 1. He put a little over 1.2 million into the race. We had about 300, 350 going into the final round there with the runoff and everything. So it was an extremely expensive race, very, very active race, but we turned out more voters in that race, and we even had a 20% jump in voter turnout during the runoff. So pretty, historical all the way around, if you will.
You put in $350,000 into the race.
The whole race on my side, the whole effort, and what I was able to fundraise, and then I put in a significant amount on my own. But yes, my side of the race was about 350.
Wow, that's a lot.
Tell me about it. I was told going into it, 80 to 100 would be about right for a state house race, and then it kind of went.
Let me tell you something that took place Saturday night. I went to a good friend of mine's birthday party, surprise party, and she's very active in her politics here in Cleveland County. She's a doctor, and she does a lot of computer stuff for us to help make it better and easier to know your district. And in there was probably 50 people. And what I heard, I was just really surprised. I kept having people come up to me and say, "What's going on at the Capitol where they're not letting Republicans, or conservative Republicans, have bills? They're not hearing bills. I hear things in a big turmoil up there in the House and the Senate." And they talked about one guy only had one bill. A senator had one bill, and just from one person. I heard it from a lot of people. how bad and disorganized the house is. And I didn't know that we were disorganized.
Little, no unity, Bob. It's unity, what we like to call.
But people talked about you and your race and how that you beat Wallace, and that was a big deal. And they were very, and these were people I really didn't even know. I didn't know that they were active in politics. I mean, I knew them, but I didn't know that they were into politics. And because everybody that was there was not political in ways.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of them mentioned how about you on the race that you had, how good of a job you did, and you don't even get any bills heard. Now, is that true?
That is true. So I drafted, the max amount that we could draft, but I, pushed 8, which, we can run and push 8 bills. Not one of those bills was heard in committee. I haven't come across anybody else yet that has had that same issue where 0 bills were even heard in committee. I mean, there's plenty of other conservative Republicans that didn't get bills heard on the floor, or maybe only had 1 or 2 pass through one layer of our committees. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I had 0 actually heard.
8 bills for a freshman is pretty unusual. So where did you come up with your bills at?
Yeah, so my 8 were pretty well defined with what I ran on in the campaign. The top 3 were anti-green energy bills. After that, it was looking at biosolids and humanure, and then foreign land ownership.
What's this one? Bio what?
Biosolids, or what we call out here humanure. I mean, it's
human waste, Bob.
Human waste. It's excess human waste from the cities that their land.
So they're going out there and putting it on this property. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're using it as fertilizer. It's nasty.
They're dumping it. They're bringing in from other states, Bob. We ain't even getting our own poop. We get.
Well, how did the people know about it, that was going on?
It's been used for a long time out here and the surrounding area. So basically, all of Oklahoma City's waste goes east of I-35 and out to in between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. This huge I-44 corridor. It is used heavily out here. And I mean, neighbors, friends, everybody in the community that I talk to, I mean, they've been impacted by it one way, shape, or form.
And that's funny because the EPA, like if I'm going to put a place here, like if I was going to go build a house right now, I have to go in, have it perked. Even though our land around here will perk easy, most of it will perk no problem for people who don't know what perk is. You put some water in a hole, and if it leaves. If it stands in there, that means it doesn't leave very well. But if that ground sucks up the water, that's what we call perk. And land around here will perk, but they'll come in and go, no, it don't perk quite quick enough. You need to put one of these new systems in. I think they got a brother-in-law that's got a system or something, puts it in. But here's the thing. That's out here. So how can you have all these rules on that? And yet you turn right around and out where you are, they just bring it out and dump. I thought they were bringing it from out of state. Are they bringing it from out of state?
They might be. I mean, we've got enough to go around. I mean, I think when you look statewide at every municipality, probably about 95% of them land apply as fertilizer and at some point.
Well, so he was using that on his land, right?
He admitted. So yeah, Wallace admitted to using it at least twice.
Well, if he was using it and other people were using it, what was the big deal?
There's massive contamination issues with it. There's forever chemicals in it. You think about the industrial waste, the pharmaceuticals.
Well, I understand that, Representative, but if he was doing it, what made him stick out? Because if other people were doing the same thing.
Well, not very many people are doing it, Bob. There's just a handful of people doing it.
Okay. I didn't understand that.
I just got to imagine if somebody that owns some land right beside you right over there come and start dumping human waste. And again, boy, we can get into some things about private landowner rights. I'm a big, and I know that me and you don't agree always, Jim. I always appreciate, though, you stand your ground and can argue for it, and that's good, but and there's got to be a balance. We've got to have a balance of each. But again, to dump human waste and the problems that Jim was talking about with that human waste dumping is a big issue. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, that was a big issue that people in your district were telling you when you were out there running that was a big issue, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, there were probably three main issues that came up at the door every single time. It was the wind turbine project being proposed, the green energy stuff, humaner, and foreign land ownership. I mean, those three were absolute top of the list with people.
Well, JJ, he's for those wind turbines. He put them all over his land.
No, I didn't put no wind turbines. I might have. I will openly admit that I have signed contracts for solar, and they're
disappointed in you, man.
What's that?
I'm disappointed in you, man. I got some work to do.
Well, here's where I'm at. Again, I looked at all of it. I don't see any harm. It's $800 an acre, $800 an acre per year. So I suspect that they'll probably end up building about 350 acres. 386.
He sold out, Representative. He sold out.
Yeah.
If I sold out, it's high dollar selling out. I wasn't cheap. I want y'all to know.
You're not cheap.
Okay.
You're not cheap. You
sold out. But here's the deal. What people say, well, you can't farm on that. You know what? I made a deal with them that I can run sheep. I told them get it up high enough. I can run sheep, so I still keep it in production. I get $300,000. I could probably run more cows. I can clean up the other area with it. I'll probably do more production.
Do you have a lot of wind turbines in your district, Representative?
Mine are no. There's two projects that are being proposed right now. There's one just a couple miles away from my property, which is what really kind of catapulted me into the race. And there's another one in the northeast part of the county, but no turbines off the ground yet. They're still working them.
So there was three main issues you kept hearing at the doors.
Yep.
Well,
yeah,
and again, we had a bill the other day
JJ?
for what, Bob?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not saying nothing. Go ahead.
Hey, Bob, you got to be quicker, son. You can't sit around. If you lollygag, I'm gonna get in there now. But we had a bill that said that you would have to move back half a mile? Is it half a mile or a quarter of a mile off of the property line? What was that?
House Bill 2751 that passed with 2/3 majority that day. Half a mile from a home and 1.5 times the tip height from a non-participating property line.
And that gives a choice to the county, right? So
it does have a county choice in there that it would go to a special ballot and a vote for the people of that county, and they could either opt into the setback language, opt out of it entirely, or modify those distances however they want.
That bill passed?
It passed the House and it's sitting over in the Senate right now.
What votes in the House?
Say it again.
Was it close votes in the House?
No, we had 2/3 that passed it. It's like 68, I think, was the final vote count on it.
I took a constitutional, what do they call it?
No, they call that wimped out.
I would have voted no. I have no problem. I'll tell people. Ain't nobody got to stop and think what I'm very open where I'm at because it's a property issue. I don't need the county to tell me what I can and can't do with my property. I don't need nobody to tell me what I can.
There's nothing in that bill that is taking a property right away from you. It's about regulating an industry.
I get that. But at the same time, when you say half an acre, you move half an acre on both sides in, that's a full acre, okay? And if you put a full acre at $800 an acre down the side of a whole length of a piece of property, that turns into a lot. If you were talking about that solar deal, you're talking a lot of money out of my pocket that would be tough to have. And so again,
it's not out of your pocket.
This,
Representative, it's not out of your pocket.
There you go, Bobby.
Well, where would it be?
Huh? Do you have it now? You don't have it now, right?
I'm getting money right now.
No, you don't. If you don't have it now, JJ, it can't be coming out of your pocket.
Jerry comes up, Bob, what are you smoking, Bob? Listen to me. I'm making a contract, and I make the contract, that money goes in my pocket. And if I had to make an agreement to back off half a mile on both sides of the property, that's a mile. And according to how long that property goes down through there, can I get a witness? That's a lot of money out of this brother's pocket.
It's not in your pocket right now, so it's not out of your pocket.
I'm just glad Bobby's got some sense with him. I mean, there's at least two of us on this call.
Thank you.
I can't believe both of y'all can't understand simple math. It's just a simple thing. It's my money, my property. Now here's where I am. If it does harm others, like it's human waste, we're talking. There's a lot of things can go on.
Why don't you go get some of that human waste and put it on your property? You're going to make so much money.
Well, Bob, I'm not about harming other people. If I was going to harm somebody else, I would take money to harm my neighbor. I love my neighbor. I read that book. You know, there's a book, Bob. You could read it sometime. Do not harm love thy neighbor, Bob, as you love yourself.
Well, representing those three issues that you had, that you heard a lot about, were they? Obviously, they were very important if you heard it a lot. Because I remember when I ran, I heard a lot about the OSSAA, and that seemed to be something that, you know, I wouldn't say every door, but I heard it a lot. Yep. So when you hear something a lot, you know there's a problem. But did you realize how important Wallace was to the state, the job he had, and his clout that he had? Did you realize that?
I will say there was I think the Lord kind of shielded me from fully understanding that early on and getting into the race. I mean, I obviously became more aware of that as we got into the race and it progressed forward. But, you know, to JJ's point earlier, I mean, I'm still, you know, you said you were at a birthday party yesterday and people were talking about my race. I mean, I was so focused on execution and just one day at a time during the campaign, but during and after the fact, I had people contacting me from all over the state saying they were praying for me, watching the race, and that just blew my mind. So yeah, I mean, obviously now being in the building and sitting in this job and doing this job day to day, I have a better appreciation for what happened for sure.
Well, you know,
go ahead, Bob.
Thank you, JJ. You know, in your case, I'm sure you see, but like you just said, how important he was, but he actually stole several bills of mine and JJ's. Put his name, took our names off, put his name on. They got passed.
That's pretty common for me.
They would have passed anyway. So you had bills. So go through the bills you've had that you wanted to introduce.
Yeah, so the top three were all green energy related. I was pushing for a moratorium. I pushed for better setbacks than really where we're at today, and also a green energy tax. I mean, these guys the federal subsidies that they're getting is astronomical. They don't exist in a free and fair market. So that tax was really trying to get them into a free and fair market. Then the biosolids bill, foreign land ownership, which today there's a law that says if you're a foreign national, you're not supposed to be able to own land, but there's no penalty with it. There's no criminalization with it. There's no look back on foreign nationals that have owned land. So my bill would have criminalized it and forced divestment. Wire transmitter fees. So looking at the illegals in Oklahoma, trying to increase the wire transmitter fees of them sending money back home. That bill actually, so what I want to say is, there's zero of these bills, and I've got a few more here that kind of round it out with election interference and some constitutional protection for home and private schools. But even though none of those got heard in committee, many of those topics, multiple of those topics were still pushed forward in somebody else's legislation. So I'm proud of that, and I'm happy for that. The wire transmitter bill being one of them. I mean, basically what I had drafted ended up getting put on the floor a week or two ago and passed through the floor and is over in the Senate right now. So, I'm grateful that at the end of the day, I want the policy in those topics to have legs and to move. And if they're moving, it doesn't matter if my name's on it. I could care less.
Is it your very bill, or was it changed?
It started out as something completely different, gutted, replaced with my language verbatim, and then right before the floor there was a little bit of an amendment that actually strengthened it, which was a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it basically was revamped to be exactly what I had.
Whose bill was it?
I'll try to remember that here in a minute. I'll try to remember that here in a minute.
Hey,
Now, do you live out in the country, or are you in town?
I'm out in the country. I've got some acreage out on the west side of Chandler.
Okay.
Hey, you remember when we started? You remember what Bob told you? Said Humphrey won't let nobody talk, and he won't. Can you believe that? Can you
Pot
believe
calling the kettle black, right?
I tell you, Jim, assembly. Hey, and all honesty,
one time we were on together, and I had to get up and go to the bathroom, so I got up, went to the restroom, and I didn't say anything, and he just kept on talking. He never missed a beat. He didn't even know I left.
Yeah.
But
I can talk a little bit.
Now, one of the things I'll tell you right now that they'll use against you when it comes time for re-election is you couldn't get any bills passed.
You know, I know that'll probably be something that they try to take a stab at again. I mean, I think some of these policies and items are still being pushed forward in other legislation. So
and me and Bob disagree with this. You know what I think is going to be one of your best campaign items is they wouldn't let me get a bill passed.
Yeah, that's
what I'd campaign on. I would campaign on, because I'm going to tell you something. I hope Kyle's paying attention to this today. That Kyle, if you're listening, you're going to have people against you because you have no unity in your party. And again, I don't know if they listen. I know a couple of them do listen to this, and I'm not trying to be mean, but when you have to go out on Channel 9 and try to tell people that you have a unified party, that when you start having to tell people that you have a unified party, that's when everybody knows you don't have unification. Because if you have a unified party, you don't have to tell anybody. Everybody knows it. And when you go to a birthday party of some people who are politically connected, as Bob was, these people are very political, involved in everything. The people who show up, I go to a lot of their parties, people who show up are political people. I mean, people who pay attention to politics. And when all of them are talking about the same thing, that there is no unity. And again, it's not just you, Jim. There's, I've had one bill. So you got me beat. You had 0. I had one that made it to committee, but I had to change it to get it through there. I had to change the entire bill. I'm talking gut the entire bill, and then it was killed in the second process. So it didn't get through the committee process, but I had one bill heard. I've been up there 9 years, been a chairman of a whole bunch of stuff. So again, it's not you. It's not you personally. They have an agenda, and they went after you. I'd say because you beat their budget chairman, you beat their money. Do you have any idea where that money come from? I mean, have you ever tried to track where the majority of that 1.2 million of his came from?
I mean, I know it was split. About 800,000 was direct through the campaign and 400,000 indirect through other support. But I mean, we obviously saw a bunch of it coming from PACs that were even either East Coast or DC PACs. Multiple of them were connected to green energy and were hitting on that during the final few months of the campaign and whatnot. But I mean, there was no shortage of organizations that threw money into that race on his side.
That is for me what you're looking at when you say that much money for a House seat is just, I mean, it's just hard to wrap your mind around that, and to overcome where he was setting. And again, I'm like you. You know what? Hey, If the bill passes, that's what we want. We want to get everything passed. But it is aggravating, I can tell you, to have and boy, he stowed, right there last year. We had a sheriff's bill, and you can't pay money directly to the county because then all the county officials have to have it. So you have to have a pretty crafty, creative way to get around that to get money to the sheriffs. I worked with sheriffs all years long, figuring out how to do that, wrote a bill, got it in there, and then here comes the Sheriff's Association. And I love the sheriffs. I love the sheriffs. And so I'm not mad at the association. Don't blame them for going out and getting him. He's a budget chairman. I understand that. But when you come and tell me, well, we think we'll go with Wallace's bill, what? The boy hadn't had an independent thought ever. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's going to steal everything you get. And so, it's like, what does he know about the sheriff's department? What has he done to get this? If they just walked over and said, JJ, you made a lot of people mad, son. We just soon have your bill. Could we have it, take Wallace and get it run? You know what I'd have said? No problem. No problem. Take the bill, it's y'all's. But instead, it's the way that they do things to try to steal that. Me and Bob ran $2, what was that? Raise for correctional officers. It's the first time correctional officers even had something mentioned. We get the sucker all the way through. It had a little problem. We were fixing it. In fact, we had it word to fix it. They stowed it and created, didn't take care of the problem. We come back next year, run a bill to fix that problem. And guess what? They stowed that sucker too. I can't remember what bill was it that me and him almost got in a fight, Bob. We almost got in a fight on the floor. It was quite funny. I wrote him a text and said he was a bill stealing son of a gun. That ain't quite what it said. Said something a little uglier.
Well, JJ and I were, the facts on this is JJ and I were at Kemp's one morning and having that breakfast. And while I'm talking to him, he starts writing on a paper cup, and he wasn't paying attention to what I was saying. I said, JJ, I'm talking to you. Well, just a minute, Bob. I'm writing out something. So what are you doing? So he says, I'm writing something. I'm fixing to send Wallace something. I said, okay, all right. Then he goes, and then that gum, he turned around. He did it. He said that. And of course, I don't blame Wallace. He didn't like it, but they got on the floor and they got to yelling. You could hear them up in the gallery.
Wow.
It got so bad. But let me ask you something, Representative. When you got elected, did you feel like there was something going on at the Capitol with other people there they didn't like you for not even knowing you, or they was going to go after you? When did you get that feeling that they'd done this to you?
It seemed like there were a few that signaled pretty early that, there was going to be some animosity or what have you, because of that. And I think some of that is natural. If you're close to somebody that gets beat out, maybe you've got some resentment there, but, there's definitely some that have, that's persisted, through the session. There's been others that I feel like, we can talk and what have you. And, maybe things have gotten a little bit better, which is good. But I committed to come into this job like I've worked my whole career, and I'll sit at the table and work with anybody. I don't have any issues with that. If we disagree on things or what have you, I still feel like I came to the table every time with committee chairs on my bills and said, hey, if you're not going to hear it, tell me why, and tell me if there's something that you would change on the bill to be able to hear it. I was very open to that. Obviously didn't get the feedback that I wanted or the opportunity that I wanted there. But no, I mean, I hope I've proven to some there at the Capitol that I'm ready to do business. I'm ready to work, but I am unwilling to compromise or waver at all on my beliefs and my morals and my ethics and what my district wants.
Well, I can see the guys getting upset if you came into it with, and you put in $1 million to beat somebody else, but not when that other person put up 5 times more money than what you had, it tells me that there's something wrong in the district. There's a problem out there when that happened. So I can't see getting mad over that at this point. Go ahead, JJ.
And here's the thing for me, Jim, is that you went out and worked your district. That's how you win. You worked. You heard this on the doorstep. You came back and you wrote your bills. And again, you are somebody. Me and you can have disagreement, but I could sit down and work with you and we'd reach an agreement. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like. You're ready to, hey, roll up your sleeves, let's work. And that's what you brought to this. But you come in representing your district. You have all of these deals. And so for me, that's why I think it'll work better for you, because I would let my district know, hey, they didn't spit in your eye, they spit in their eye. You're out there representing, you're out there running the bills that they ask you to run. And our leadership refused to even give you an opportunity to get your bills heard. And again, I had a bill this year, ivermectin. Let's let ivermectin be over the counter. It's FDA approved. It was made for human consumption. They're doing it in other states. Arkansas has the same bill, doing awesome. I can't even get it heard. We have a tag deal that everybody is behind, and it creates a compact with other states. Can't even get it heard. And a whole lot of that is big money and lobbyists setting up there at that Capitol. Cattlemen's, I just call them out. That's why I'm in such trouble. I call them out. Cattlemen's Farm Bureau. I call them the Ag Mafia. The Ag Mafia was against my bill. Why? Because they're sellouts. They've sold out. And again, people may not like, but just like we're sitting here having a conversation, I'm very public where I'm at. I'm transparent, but I can work with people. And just like that bill you're talking about, the one thing I do like about that bill is that I know some people I respect went into a room together and ironed out that bill. And I know there was a whole lot of debate. I know there was some arguments, and I know there was some people a little mad, but y'all all worked it out and y'all went to the floor with that bill. And my understanding, they were trying to kill that, that they were making it difficult to get that to the floor, and y'all worked together and got it. So that's saying a whole lot. Very proud of you for doing that. And again, we don't have to agree. We're not going to agree on everything. Your district's a little bit different from mine, and that's okay. That's why we go up there, and that's why we do. But you ought to be able to have the ability to represent your district. I ought to have the ability to represent mine. And a handful of people up there shouldn't get to pick out who's going to get to run. And if you notice, you've been there for a little bit, have you noticed how the same people are the ones who get all the bills and who get everything going on?
I've noticed something like that.
Well, have you noticed how many bills? This is what I want to draw people's attention to. Have you noticed that there's 2 or 3 Democrats that probably have gotten 4 to 6 bills across? Have you paid any attention to that?
Yeah, I sit right across the aisle from them. I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, how does that make you feel, Jim, when you're sitting there watching the Democrats get more bills? I mean, I can name you 2 or 3 Democrats that have gotten 4, 6, and you're sitting there and can't even get one out of committee. What's that make you feel like?
Pretty frustrating. Like things are a little backwards, for sure.
There was a question that came to me here, or was sent to me. It says, I would like to see a legislature not present bills, but to just pass a limited spending budget. What's that sound like?
Days like smaller government, which sounds great.
Here's the deal. I'd be for having a year of repeals. Let's do away with some daggum bills. But yeah, I would say we don't. Here's what's going to happen. And Jim hadn't seen it yet. Bob, you've seen it. We're going to run in there and do $13 billion roughly in about a month. And they're going to throw this sheet up there on a screen, and I don't know how many people have seen a spreadsheet, but if I handed you a spreadsheet like this, and you were on paper where you can look at it and you can sit there and look at it, carry it around with you, look at it again, okay. But where you're sitting there looking at one for, okay.
Oh, they're very transparent. They're putting it up on the screen.
Oh, wait, we let them see it. Yeah, you let me see it. It's all a big blob, and I don't, 13 billion flash by like that, and you're going to be like, yeah, I got that. So I can tell you, we're going to have to dig in, and that's one of the places, and I've already talked to you about. That's a really, really great place to really dig in and start looking at things that you understand. I always look at public safety, but that's a big, big deal where you can have a big impact and you can find waste, fraud, and abuse. And that's what we should. They're claiming this year that they're going to have waste, fraud, and abuse. That Oklahoma Doge. It's the Oklahoma Dodge. I think Jay said that the other day. The Oklahoma Dodge, I'm going to steal it from him, And again, I don't see them. They're not holding any agency. Anybody's trying to hold an agency accountable, you know what? They'll make you public enemy number one if you come in with an agenda like that. Have you noticed? I mean, you're working with some of the senators. Who are some of the senators you've got?
I mean, some of the senators that I either signed onto their bills or vice versa. I mean, like Bullard and Jed and Wingard on his green energy tax or subsidy bill. So, I mean, some of those guys would be the ones that I cross paths with, early on. But
I was told by individuals, several of them, they said that Jed only got one bill heard and Bullard only got one bill heard over there. They was really complaining about, those are two very conservative guys.
Yeah.
Well, and Bob, that's the thing that when you look at the people who are we're talking about, they are conservative. I mean, and again, it's not just the House. We're seeing that in the Senate, that these people that are known for being super conservative, even people like myself, just a little. I get accused of being conservative every once in a while, except by Bob. Bob, he doesn't. He says I'm liberal. But anyways, it's those people. So and again, I'm not down on anybody. I'm not going to name any names. But man, there's some people in our caucus that might as well be a Democrat. I mean, the stuff they run, they got the wrong tag on them. You know what I'm saying? They are
Democrat. Say that. This guy was on a radio the other day. It's on 96.9, what Patriot Radio, whatever they call themselves. But he was from Texas, a representative from Texas. And he's talking about, everybody says, oh, we got conservative. We're all the Republicans. We're all Republicans in the House. The Democrats, we outnumber them, 2-1, and we're really conservative. He said, we're not. He said, these Democrats, these Republicans were Democrats. They switched to be a Republican just to run for office, and they got elected. And the Democrats are really running the state, not the Republicans.
Well, and again, a lot of that comes from when you look at state chamber. State chamber has an agenda, but they control a lot up there. The ag mafia has an agenda, and they control a whole lot. And so again, our leadership often cows down to all of these lobbyists, that green energy stuff, whatever. The big money ends up controlling it, and a lot of times the big money are have liberal agendas. And so what you see is these so-called Republicans bow down to the big money cash cow. That's their altar that they bow down to, and that's who they take orders from. And so that's what it looks like. But again, if we're having this conservative group, why are you seeing that a lot of your chair people, I see people that are really, really liberal, and I see Democrats having much more influence and much more getting bills passed, being on chairs, doing all that, and getting things done, that your conservative have just, literally been shut down. And I will tell you, I've got one guy, me and him's totally opposite, probably. We're totally opposite on what we want. but I like him because he's very smart. He's probably one of the smartest ones up there. Chris Canada, I'll just name him. Me and him, we're quite a bit different, but again, I respect him because he does have backbone, because he is very smart.
He doesn't deny it. He comes right out with it.
Well, here's the deal. He talks to me. I mean, you know what? If Chris comes by and gives me a spanking, he laughs and goes, I got you. If I can spank him, I'd laugh and go, I got you. And we can still be friends and still have opposite. I know he's going to hit me. If he's going to rake a spur on me, I'll rake a spur on him. But I don't dislike him for that, and we can get along. But now the Red Sack crew up there, as far as leadership goes, man, I'll guarantee you, I've thought about investing in neck braces. They about break your neck looking away from me every time they come around, And so, how come? What my question would be, Jim? What have you done to get ostracized, not be able to get any bills? And I've watched how they treat you. I mean, I think, man, I've heard them say stuff that, wow, you know what I'm saying? I think they've treated you pretty poorly, in my opinion. Now they haven't, as far as treating me poorly, they've just locked me out. It's what they've just kicked me to the curb is all they've done. But Jim, can you say what there is that you've done? Have you done anything? Or have you noticed? Do you agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I've told people I feel like it boils down to two primary reasons. I mean, number one is potentially retribution because of my race and who I beat out. But I think
I've never heard of that. I've never heard. I really had, as long as I've been around, I've never heard of anything like this at all.
Really?
You win,
Yeah.
I've had guys that I liked and they lost.
Yeah.
The next guy to come in, I don't.
Well, I've had some of them tell me straight up, I mean, hey, you got an uphill battle because of who you beat. And so, I mean, they've somewhat admitted to that in part, but I also think the concerning thing and what we're seeing as a trend of conservatives not getting bills heard or passed on the floor is the actual nature of the policy is what they're taking issue with. And I think that's the bigger concern for me, because, the other stuff will fade out or come and go. But if we're on opposite sides of an issue or policy and conservative versus not, that's really the bigger issue, in my opinion.
Well, that's what they kept saying. Individuals at that birthday party, they're locking the conservatives out. They're not getting any bills heard, and some of them they didn't get a bill heard in the committee. Not just didn't pass out of committee. They wouldn't even hear the bill.
Right. Yeah, it's not just you, Jim.
No, for sure.
I mean, you can name several. You've got there's one lady that has come in that I really, really like. There's two. There's two ladies that have come in that I like, and I think both of them have gotten a bill heard. But man, they still got shut out. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at them compared to them Democrats over there, the Democrats are getting way better treatment than those two ladies. We have another representative that's pretty conservative, and he's came in and not gotten a bill heard. I know there's another new guy that I would say conservative, and I think he got one bill through possibly. And what they're doing on those three there, they're letting them have one just to say we gave you a crumb. But again, they're not letting them do anything. Their policies aren't getting heard, like you said. And so it's not, when we're looking at people like Bullard, who was looking to be the pro tem, he's one vote away from being pro tem, and they cut him out. When you look at Shane Jett, who's been up there for a while on both sides, very knowledgeable. When you look at old Dana Perino over there, that they've cut him out. When you start looking at Devers and Hamilton and all of
every one of those guys you just mentioned, JJ, every one of those guys you just mentioned were conservative. They weren't. They didn't just call themselves conservative. They are conservative.
Yeah. They are. Yes, I just named you some of the most conservative people up there.
Yeah.
Burns didn't get any much hurt, I don't think. I hadn't checked with him, but I know the bills that he was sending me, he didn't get any hurt. Yeah, and I just named you some of the very most conservative. If you stepped over on our side with Siegel and myself, Jim, the 3 or 4 people, I'm not going to name their names because I don't want to get any heat to them. But again, some of these Tom Gann, man, I mean Tom Gann's sharp cat up there had one well-lacious bill that should have got through. And again, Tom is totally shut down. I get that he votes no a whole lot, but again, you ought to at least give his stuff an opportunity to be heard. And I just named you most of the conservative people in Capitol.
When you go up there, you're elected, you can vote no. If you keep getting elected, maybe your district likes what you're doing. They like your bills. They like what you're doing. We shouldn't be up there, but we shouldn't be up there as a representative to satisfy 7 or 8 people.
Oh, I agree. Here's the deal.
And they're telling us how to vote.
Well, they tell you when you walk through the door. I love that when we first walked through the door. Hey, first thing up there, your word is your bond. Now, that's the biggest lie they tell you when that's the first big lie. I laugh now. I was like, well, what's y'all's word? That's a lie. Y'all's the biggest liar. One of them.
Vote your district.
One will be running for a statewide office, biggest liar. I love him, but he's a liar, But here's the deal. The next day, vote your district. That's right. Vote your district, and you'll be all right. But if you vote your district, we're going to whoop snot out of you. We're going to make sure you never get a bill heard. We're going to take you off your chairman. And, oh, by the way, don't go over and find $43 million hid in the budget and get that out for a raise for employees without raising taxes or more appropriation. Don't come back and show all these millions gone. They talk about Doge. I've been doing Doge for 9 years, and boy, they hate me for it. I mean, they hate my guts for it. But I will say this, y'all hang on. I'll give you something more to hate. Hopefully, we'll. Hopefully, I will have something out next week to make y'all really happy.
Well, Reverend Saul, it's very frustrating to have that happen, and I'm sorry it's happening because it shouldn't be that way. And someone is out of control, big time. When you get people out, just regular people that follow it, but they're not up at the Capitol. They didn't never go up there. They don't know anything. But when you get that, people telling you just exactly, all the conservatives, and most of the time they said conservative Christians were not getting their bills heard. And start naming them off who all didn't get bills heard and how many bills other people have. And that's a sad state for our state. I'm really disappointed to hear that because I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I've heard a little bit, but I didn't get involved in any of it. But when I heard this on the way home, I was thinking, I cannot believe what's happened here in 1 year, things of this nature.
Well,
there's always been a little bit. There's always been a little bit.
Yeah. I was going to say, you guys could probably testify to years past. I mean, I'm sure this isn't entirely just brand new this year, but I think the intensity of it has increased this year. But I also think the intensity of the awareness of people outside the building back home, they're getting more involved and they're becoming more aware of what's happening inside the building. And that is a fantastic thing because, I mean, JJ, like you talked about with my involvement a couple of weeks ago in that House bill and trying to work on that final language in that small group, there's no way I would have been in that room if it wasn't for the positive pressure coming from people in my district and elsewhere, demanding that this bill be updated and modified and strengthened, whatever. Right. So it's been really, really great to see people getting more involved in voicing out on their frustrations. Cause that's what it's supposed to be about. So,
well, what I hear you saying is you have no animosity towards anybody up there. You just want to get your bills and do your job that you're elected to do, what you should do. Now, there's no way in the world anybody should have the right. I don't care whether you're the speaker or you're the governor to shut somebody down that just got elected and beat somebody that was already in. I got beat in my election by somebody. I didn't have any animosity towards her. I mean, she ran and we're actually friends. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. Didn't bother me when I didn't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah.
But
and me and Bob are good friends, and I'm good friends with And I can tell you that when it came time for her to run for reelection, she come over and was talking to me. I said, "You want me to call and ask Bob to put a sign in his yard?" And she goes, "Oh, he wouldn't do that." And I said, "Yeah, he would." She goes, "No, he wouldn't." I said, I picked up the phone, Bob, can I put a sign in your yard? And he goes, "Bring it over." And I laughed. She goes, "I'm taking it over myself." I go, "That would even be better. That's fine." And guess what? I mean, was I happy that Bob got beat? I can tell you no. I mean, we're great friends. Yeah. But at the same time, as she turned out to be, and I think that she came in with some ideals that weren't quite right on education stuff. I think she has grown a whole lot. She ended up being one of the better conservative voices up there, I think. And so guess what? She evolved quite a bit. I think we all do. Get in there, you learn stuff you didn't know. And again, for them to silence, but that's the thing that I want to come out today. And what I wanted to people to see is that 99% of the things that me and Jim are going to work on, we're going to be right on. I mean, I can tell you right now, I've paid attention to what he is and who he is. I'm going to be 99%. He's a little messed up on the windmills, but we'll work with him on that. You know what I'm saying? I think, honestly, Jim, I think you reflect the views of your constituents.
Amen.
And I think that's great. And I think that we have to both give on a little bit. I think y'all did do that. I think that work that you did in that committee, and I know you were a big part of that. But here's what I want people to see is as the grassroots, I really want to speak to the grassroots people today. You're not going to be effective if you don't learn to say, okay, Humphrey's got an opinion on this. I disagree with him, but I agree with him 95% of the time, and we can all work together. We've got to learn to let the one vote. We got people that are in that grassroots movement that, man, you can be with them 99% time and have one difference, and they're ready to shoot you or hang you, and we can't do that. If we're going to be successful, we've got to stick together. We've got to have unity. And again, we've got to want to unify the entire party. That's the conversation. We can sit over here and point the finger at them for the way they're acting. And if we're not careful, we act the same exact way. And what I want y'all to see is that we got to unite our entire party. And that's what we have to do.
Well, and for me, JJ, kind of similar. I mean, it's balls and strikes. Like one bill at a time, one policy at a time, call it for what it is. Again, and I've told people that I represent, like, if there's 20 topics, we're not going to align on maybe 12 or 14 of them, all the time. But that's just the nature of it. But ultimately, it's just balls and strikes. Like, I don't care how close I am with somebody in that building or how distant I am from somebody in that building on a policy or on a bill or on a topic. I'll say it like it is. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. So that's the way that I hope we all continue to move forward on is, yeah, if somebody wants to hit you on your green energy stance or your solar stance, go for it. But turn right around and on another topic that they're aligned with you on, like, celebrate that too at the same time.
Well, and just like a while ago, you were talking about subsidy. If we would cut the subsidy on these, we probably wouldn't even have to have this conversation.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So I'm 1,000%. So even if we're a little bit different, I'm just a property rights guy that can't get past property rights. But I do get that hey, in certain places, if these bring down your, if you put them all around the lake, 190 of them around the lake, and your lake property drops because of all that, and your tourism money drops because of all that, or if you had a house over there and somebody put one right in your backyard, I get all that. I understand that. And again, that's what this bill's about. It's trying to find that compromise to all of that the best we can. And that's what compromise is. Compromise means you don't get everything your way, and that you find the best balance for everybody. And I think that bill did a good job at that.
Well, Representative, what I hear from you is you have no animosity towards anybody.
No.
You want to work and do your job, what you're elected to do, and you're willing to work with anybody, and you're willing to compromise on cases if you need to. If you don't, you don't. But just because you compromise on a bill or two that to get something done, it's a compromise. But it's
and go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just real difficult. But I can see. I was completely shocked when these people was telling me this, because it's funny how we went to this party and what they were telling me was the same thing we're talking about today. And this is the average Joe Blow citizen out there that, like I say, they don't go to the Capitol, but they read paper and they see who's got bills. They keep track of bills and stuff of this nature. But when they would tell me this, and I would venture to say without a question that more than half of them that was there had the same problem. What's going on at our Capitol? Why is the Republicans so disorganized? Why are they not letting conservatives have bills? Why is the Democrats getting bills and getting more bills than our conservatives up there? We elect them to go up there to do the right thing.
Sure.
Hey, I'm gonna get Jim the last word. Jim, I just want to point out, who you think talked more today? You think me or Bob talked? And Bob come on here accusing. Hey, JJ won't let you have a word in, Jim. JJ's not gonna let you. Hey, Jim, what do you
what?
think?
We could play this back. I think you guys probably be pretty 50-50. I mean, I think you guys both talk about the same.
You're going down.
You know what I'm going to do, though? You know what I'm going to do as a thank you for having me on the show today? I'm going to flood your email with some literature, JJ, on solar farms and why they're not. So just get ready. It's a huge thank you for me to you.
You know what? And again, I like to read stuff. And if I'm wrong, I just wrote the governor and said, you know what a true man is? A true man is somebody who say I'm wrong. And when you're wrong, walk in there and say, let's make it right. And so, Jim, if I'm wrong, I'll step up and say I'm wrong. But
you're going
to have to show me.
You better get ready. Hey,
send it on, brother.
I will. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. You're doing an awesome job. I do want to tell you something, man. You are doing an awesome job. Very proud of who you are, and you stand up and you do it in a. I do it in an ugly way. You do it in a very, very productive, good way, and so it's good. Hey, Bob.
JJ, you don't do it in an ugly way. You just say it like it is.
You did a good job today, too, Bob.
Oh, good question. Thank you, JJ. That's the first time you've ever told me that.
Bob, I tell you all the time, you just got to stop and listen. I'm always. You're doing a fine job. Really, really do appreciate you, Bob. You're a good guy and have done a lot for our state and for what we're trying to do. We're going to jump off. I promise, Jim. He's got a meeting. He's got to go to a birthday party, ain't it, Jim?
I got 2 girls in ballet, and it's daddy-daughter dance practice number 1, so I can't miss it. So,
hey, did you do a dance? Are you dancing any?
I have not in years past. This year they got me on the hook, so I'll be.
I want to see a video. Hey, when you send me all that other stuff, send me a video of that.
I will.
See.
I will.
See you in your ballet shoes.
Yeah. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
God bless everybody. Y'all have a good day.